Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, May 13th, and today I'm going to read you a story called Sally's Caterpillar. This story is written by Anne and Harlow Rockwell, and it's a true story. Here's the title page. Some of you may have had experience watching caterpillars make a little chrysalis cocoon and wait and watch until out came a butterfly. You may have done that in preschool. So this story is a little bit like that. Summer was nearly over. Soon it would be time to leave the beach and the wide, wide sea. Soon it would be time to close the cottage and go home. Soon it would be time for school. But right now, there was still time for Sally to play. That looks nice, playing on the beach in the sand. In the morning, she played in the yard while Mommy and Daddy did their chores. Her friends, Harry and Dorothy, came to play with her. Suddenly, they saw a little slippery snake. Harry said it was his, but the snake slid into a patch of milkweed when he tried to catch it. If you go after a snake. Sally was very brave, and she went into the milkweed patch to find the snake. But instead of the snake, she found a beautiful big caterpillar sitting on a milkweed leaf. He had stripes of yellow and black, and he crept along on little black feet. Sally thought he was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen, and she watched him on his leaf while big orange and black butterflies fluttered overhead. Just then, Mommy called her to come in and get ready. "We're going for a picnic at Fresh Pond," Sally explained as she waved goodbye to her friends. Mother spread the cloth on the scraggly grass and unpacked the picnic basket. Then, after everyone had had enough to eat, Daddy helped Sally count the 36 wild swans that lived on the pond. It was a nice last picnic of summer. You still have summer to look forward to, don't you? When they got home that afternoon, Sally went to look at her caterpillar again. He was on a different leaf, but he was still there, shiny and smooth. She called Daddy to come look. What else do you see on that milkweed plant? That's right. There's a little ladybug, isn't there? "It's a butterfly baby," Daddy told her. "One of those big monarch butterflies laid her eggs on a milkweed leaf. When the eggs hatched, out came tiny caterpillars. This one has eaten many tender milkweed leaves, and now he is big and fat. Someday he will turn into a butterfly, just like his parents." Sally watched the caterpillar nibbling away at his leaf. "He'd make a good pet," she said. "I wish I could keep him for my very own." "Maybe you can," said Daddy. "Ask Mother for a jar and we'll fix up a home for him." Mother found an empty peanut butter jar with a wide top, and after Daddy punched some holes in the lid, Sally went outside to catch her caterpillar. First, she picked 6 milkweed leaves and put them in a jar. Then she carefully picked the leaf the caterpillar sat on and put that in too. He was so busy eating, he didn't even notice what was happening. He looked very beautiful in his new home, and he didn't seem to mind at all. Be sure to give him fresh leaves every morning, said Daddy, as they watched him eating, eating, eating. Then at last the time came to pack for home. But what will I do with my caterpillar? Asked Sally. Let's take him with us, said Mommy. We'll cut some milkweed plants just before we leave and keep them in water so the leaves will stay fresh. Then you'll be able to feed him some every day. Milkweed doesn't grow in the city, you know. Now, such a hustle and bustle there was. Suitcases to pack, fishing rods to put away, bathing suits and towels off the line for the last time. Sally sorted her shells and put her favorite ones in her duffel bag, along with pieces of driftwood and a seagull's feather. And right on top, she put the peanut butter jar with her caterpillar. Then, just before they drove off to the steamboat wharf, Daddy cut some milkweed plants and wrapped them in wet newspaper to keep them fresh. As the ferry steamed across the wide bay, carrying them back to land, the people stood at the railing and watched their summer island grow smaller and smaller until it sank into the water. We'll be back next year, called Sally to the soaring gulls that followed after them. Back in her own room in the city that afternoon, Sally put the caterpillar jar on the table right next to her bed. I don't think we'll be needing that milkweed after all, said Daddy as he peered into the jar. Your caterpillar has stopped eating. What does that mean, Daddy? Cried Sally. Did the trip make him sick? Oh, no, laughed her father. He's fine and healthy, but I think he's getting ready to become a butterfly. In a little while, he won't look like a caterpillar at all. He will have turned into a chrysalis. And that very night, when Sally looked at her pet before going to bed, she saw something very strange. The caterpillar had hunched himself up small, and he was hanging by a little black thread from the jar lid. Have you ever seen that before? That's just the beginning of the metamorphosis. The next morning, all Sally could see was a pale green chrysalis trimmed with little golden beads hanging from the lid. In sheltered darkness where no one could watch, her caterpillar was changing into a bright winged butterfly. Every day, Sally looked at him hanging there, all green and gold, like a jewel from India. She invited her friends in to look too, but of course no one could touch him. Then, one morning, about 2 weeks later, Sally looked into the jar as she always did as soon as she got up. But what had happened in the night? The jeweled case was split open and empty, and clinging to the side of it was a tiger-colored butterfly, a real one. "Daddy, Mommy," cried Sally, "my caterpillar is a butterfly." How exciting. They both came running to see what had happened. "He's perfectly fine," said Daddy, after he had looked into the jar. "A beautiful butterfly, but I think he needs a little room to spread his wings." He took off the lid with the butterfly holding on to the gently swaying empty chrysalis. Slowly, the butterfly opened his golden wings, fanning them up and down to dry them and make them strong. They watched him for a long, long time, and then Mommy went into the kitchen and came back with a saucer of honey and water. "We can't give him a flower to sip," she said, "but maybe he would like some of this. He seems so weak." The butterfly crawled to the edge of the saucer and began to drink. They were all so busy watching that they didn't notice Sally's cat come into the room. Just in time, Sally spied him, all ready to pounce on this fascinating, fluttering thing. "Oh, no, you don't," cried Sally, and she scooped up the cat and shut him in the kitchen. "Now we'll have to get a cage for my butterfly so the cat can't catch him," said Sally when she came back. "But Sally," said her mother softly, "a butterfly needs fields and flowers and lots of sky. A butterfly wouldn't be happy living in a cage." And Sally knew her mother was right. So very carefully, with the butterfly still on its edge, she picked up the saucer and carried it to the window. The butterfly paused, lifted himself up on his new strong wings, flew once about the room, and lighted on Sally's finger. She watched him there, gently balanced, as he solemnly fanned his wings up and down. Such a nice pet he would have been. Then Daddy opened the window wide, and as Sally held her hand out, her butterfly sailed up into the sky. He circled about in the early morning light, almost as though he wanted to stay. As they stood at the window watching, he flew off over the backyard gardens and away to the warm places where butterflies go. And where do you think butterflies go? Monarch butterflies like to fly all the way down into Mexico. They take a long, long trip in the fall. And if you ever see a milkweed plant that looks like that, you might find a caterpillar, and you can put it in a jar with holes in the lid and some fresh milkweed leaves, and maybe you'll have your own little butterfly garden. And let me get you one thing. I was showing some of the students yesterday on our Zoom meeting this little fairy that was made out of a pine cone and an acorn, and the wings are from a milkweed pod. So Milkweed plants are kind of interesting. You'll find caterpillars there, and you'll find these beautiful wings that you can use to make angels or fairies. Okay, well, you all have a good day, and I'll see you tomorrow at 11 o'clock for our Zoom meeting. Okay.